Hello, beautiful people of the internet. Hi, what's good? What's poppin'? What's fresh? What's new? I'm running out of words. I hope you're all doing very well. I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I wish I would have known sooner. Something I wish someone would have told me when I started my spiritual journey and my quest for finding awareness or getting more aware. And yeah, I think let's jump right into it. The first one is the strive to be a saint. And I feel like no one's talking about this ever because it's something that it can get a little shameful. At least it was for me in the beginning. So when I started going into spirituality and like working on my awareness and things like that, I wanted to make everything right. I always wanted to be like in a happy mood, in a positive energy, because you know, energy attracts energy. You know the whole drill. And I wanted to act a certain way because how you act is what you attract and all these things. So I really like tried to be the best version of myself that I possibly could be. But the thing was that I stopped being myself and I started pretending that I was in a good mood when I actually wasn't, or I started to overplay certain emotions because I haven't dealt with them yet, so I just pushed them aside and started putting this like happy filter on myself, and that was just not working out for me personally. So yes, positive energy is so fucking important, but the thing is, if you haven't worked out like the shadows in the background, you can be you can put on a positive mood and still feel miserable inside. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way, that sometimes being and really like trying or pretending to be something that you're not is never a good idea. I mean, we know that, but especially like when you tap into your spirituality and you want to do everything right because you want to like manifest those dreams, you know what I'm saying? Like you want to get better, you want to be the best version of yourself, you want to connect with your higher self, and that is only possible if you are in alignment, if you are in a certain frequency. But the thing is, pretending to be happy is not alignment. Pretending to be anything is not connecting to your higher self at all. So striving to be a saint, striving to making everything good and alright and perfect and whatever could be something that bites you in the ass. Number 2 is setbacks. And I feel like this one's also not talked about enough, because we all experience setbacks, especially like when you're in a more awakened stage, or you went through several spiritual awakenings, or your first spiritual awakening, whatever it is, you feel on top of the world. You feel like, oh my gosh, I finally found a solution. I finally understand what life is all about. And you go onto that quest of, I don't know, of making it even bigger and better, right? But the thing is that you could go through a spiritual awakening and still find yourself in a deep or dark mental place that you didn't see coming. And I feel like once you get into your spiritual or your awakening journey, sometimes you find yourself in this weird bubble of only good energy, and I mean the things we talked about earlier basically. And when you have a setback, you go so hard on yourself. You're like, oh my gosh, am I now a bad person? Like, is this now setting me back for life? Like, am I not spiritual enough? Am I not didn't I just go through a spiritual awakening? What is happening? Is the universe against me? Aren't the stars aligned anymore? Isn't what happened to my spirit guides and stuff like that, you know? Setbacks are a part of the process, and it's something that just shows you all the things that you haven't worked on yet, or brings up all the things that you still need to clear up for yourself. And sometimes you think that you totally closed the chapter and you totally moved on from it and you've forgiven that person that wronged you and whatever it is, and you healed that trauma, right? And then you have a setback, and all of a sudden all these emotions start bubbling up, and you're like, oh my gosh, did I do everything wrong? What the hell is happening? But that's not at all the case. It just shows you that you're ready for that chapter to be closed, or to be healed, for that trauma to be healed or whatever it is. And when that bubbles up, like, don't be so hard on yourself, because I mean, that happened like literally 2 days ago to me, where I had a huge angry outburst. I talked about this on TikTok, and I just felt so lost. I felt so stupid and angry and humiliated, because I was like, oh my gosh, I worked so hard on myself. But it's like an opportunity for you to really see the shadows that you haven't worked on yet and that are still very present, and you just like pushing them aside doesn't do anything. And number 3 is work that keeps popping up. You think that you're moving on and you closed one chapter, as we just talked about, but all of a sudden another one pops up and you're like, oh my gosh, didn't I just do the shadow work? Like, what is happening? And more work keeps popping up because because you healed that last one, you're finally able to move on to the next. And you find yourself in that weird loop of closing or healing from one thing, and then the next thing keeps popping up, and you're like, where did that even come from? Like, I didn't even realize that that was still an issue for me, or that I still had emotional feelings going on, or like something that needs to be addressed, right? But yeah, it happens and it keeps popping up because you're finally ready for it. So with everything, single thing that you work through, you are evolving into a higher version of yourself, I'd say. And because of that, you're finally able to address things and to work through stuff that you weren't able to before, because you lacked certain skills, or you lacked certain things that just weren't there. But because you worked through that first one, you get to the next one. It's like unlocking levels, if you will. But it's a really fun way. But I feel like, yeah, you should just be aware of that. And it's totally natural. Like, it's so, like, sometimes we just think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna work through this, and then all my stuff and all my shit is cleaned up. But it's just not the case. And things keep popping up and you're like, haven't I done enough work already? Like, what is happening? But the work never stops. It's just an ever-evolving process. And it's beautiful that that is the case, because that keeps you growing. That keeps you going. That does not keep you stagnant, but like rising and shining and being even more beautiful than you already are, and shining even more light than you already are shining. And that is a very beautiful process. That's it for me today. If there's something that pops into your head where you're like, oh my gosh, this is something that should have been addressed in this video but it wasn't, let me know down below. I feel like there's so many things, especially when it comes to spirituality and things that nobody talks about, or things that you did not think that would happen once you work on your journey towards awakening and awareness. And yeah, and let me also know down below all the things that you personally experienced that I've just talked about. I would love to know. And also let me know your number 1 takeaway from this video. If there was anything that stuck with you, put it down in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And yeah, subscribe, like this video. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye.